Okay,
Yeah.
where exactly did you grow up?
So I grew up exactly kind of in Venice Beach area for the first couple years, and then I moved out to the Bay Area for a bit, and then moved back over here pretty quickly. So yeah,
For sure. And you're young right now. What are you, 21?
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like just growing up, having a dad who I assume was like constantly on the road? I'm doing the math in my head now, like 2004. I assume they were still touring like a lot.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool because I got to travel like a good amount. Like I would go on tour partially with the family and stuff, and I'd get to like explore all of these like cool places. So I was exposed to like a bunch of different parts of the world at a young age, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, a lot of the people that I know who are in bands and stuff, they're like smaller bands and they go on tour and they're gone for months at a time and their family's not around and stuff. And it's just kind of torturous. But I guess, when you get down to it, Metallica's a big enough band that they can, have their families with them and stuff like that. So they can kind of live a bit more of a balanced life.
Totally. Yeah, like the families would go on the road, and like I would hang with a lot with the families and stuff, with the kids, the other kids too. So it was really cool.
That's sick. Yeah. So okay, this is something I always think about though, is like from early on, how much were you exposed to in terms of metal and music in general? How much of that stuff were you turned on to? Because like I have a kid who's almost 5. She don't know anything about rap. But rap's a little different, or at least like the type of rap that I'm involved with. We're kind of, it makes a lot of sense for me to not really like have her super close to it, at least at this point. But what were your parents like in that regard?
Well, so there's a lot of music going on, like getting played around like the car and stuff. Driving to school and stuff. I was listening to a lot of like. There was a lot of Tool being played in the car, like Alice in Chains, kind of bands like that. And then, my mom was into the heavier stuff. She was into bands like Death, all these bands.
Wow.
So a lot of just different stuff.
Yeah, because it is weird. Because like it's obvious why a kid would need a little bit of space between like gangster rap and shit, all the swearing and bad themes. It's like not very good for a kid. But like just sonically, like I played my kid Slayer.
Yeah.
And she thinks it's funny. She thinks it's kind of crazy. She's like, that's some crazy music, And I played her Sleep Token.
Okay, cool.
And I think she was actually like really into that because like it's like most of their songs they get into some screaming or some like heavier parts, but it's like kind of later on in the song, so she's able to like adjust to it, and then it's like a surprise.
Sure.
But as far as just listening to Death, I feel like that's kind of for a young kid. That's a lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in. There was something I did like about it, like as a little kid, which is crazy. I don't know. I liked the intensity of it. But then from like these kind of platform bands, and I got more into like obscure bands and stuff. And so I'm grateful for the exposure. Yeah,
definitely. So okay, but did your parents get you into playing music real early, or like how did you get into that?
So, sort of like I think I was like being exposed to it. I like picked up the instrument from like seeing it around and kind of like wanting to be able to pick up the instrument and start getting on stage and playing. But I was like first interested in drums, and then I tried guitar, and then after that I was like, all right, I think I want to play bass. So I kind of want to have a little bit of both, which is like I want to have the melody, but I also want to be involved in the rhythm section too. So
was it a thing where guitar just like did it seem more difficult and bass was a little bit more chill, or was it something where I don't know, like what kind of drove you towards that?
So actually, funny thing is so bass, like I actually didn't want to play guitar because like at first, because it was like, oh, so many solos and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to like go through the difficulty of that, like trying to learn all these solos. I just want to lay back and play bass. Then I started playing bass, and I started getting into doing bass solos. So it almost came around to the point where it's like, well, either way, I'll be soloing at some point in the song, like, or doing little little stuff here and there with flavor. But
did you get lessons as a young kid, or were you just like looking at YouTube and figuring shit out?
I was so it was mainly like I had lessons here and there as like a platform, but then after I like with those things I learned in the lesson as a little kid, then I just started practicing them more on my own, and eventually just started kind of like learning stuff just by myself and teaching me stuff, and then watching a little bit of YouTube here and there for stuff.
So were you turned on to a lot of other types of music, or were your parents more just like rock metal oriented? Like, was that just their number one shit?
Yeah, I mean, so my dad he was into like he's into like funk stuff, so I had that getting played growing up too. And then after that I kind of just went from there and listened to other different stuff. So
okay, so you're a young kid and you know that your dad is in a band. That's like kind of a relatable experience. But then at some point you figure out like, oh, my dad is in like the biggest metal band of all time. I believe that that's true. I can't really think of anybody else who'd be really up there.
Right.
Do you remember like what that was like when that kind of kicked in and you realized like, oh, this isn't just a regular band. This is a big deal.
I remember when that kicked in, it was like, it kicked in pretty early on because like always like seeing the crowd and the amount of people there at like all of his shows.
Right.
It's like, okay, like I know these guys are like pretty huge.
I don't have anything to compare this to, but it seems like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people.
And I mean, but was that ever kind of overwhelming? Do you remember like asking your? I guess you wouldn't remember. They would probably remember better. But do you remember like questioning them about that, or like what was that like?
I remember like some parts were overwhelming when there's like outsiders kind of staring at us, or people like the fans of the band, like hardcore fans.
Right.
They would just be like sometimes outside the hotel or something like that, and I was like, this is crazy, so that part was
it's got to be weird to take that in as a kid too, because like you can go to Starbucks with your dad and probably 99% of the time nobody's recognizing them, but then you're in the area of the show and you got people camped out outside the hotel and they come out on stage and the whole crowd's losing their mind. Like that must have been a little tricky to like wrap your head around at a certain point.
It's a trip. It's definitely eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah. Like my kid is used to me taking photos, but there's gonna be a day where she's around me in a different scenario. Yeah. Where it's probably gonna be a lot more to explain. Like, oh, this is I have to take 100 photos today. It's not just like one here and there. Yeah. Do you have any particular like memories of going on tour when you were real young, and like just anything that really stood out to you in terms of bands you were on the road with your dad or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like it's just like exploring a lot of cool places. I remember like being in like Tokyo, like checking out like the streets there, and like just like seeing how much of a like crazy obscure kind of place it is, and like such a cool place. And like just like seeing all the locations I really liked and like back then, and like kind of building like a connection with all these different stops on the road and stuff. And so
because I feel like that's one thing that like most kids, the average kid is just super enamored with and fascinated. I know like when I turned like 18, 19, my goal was seriously just I want to travel. I want to see every state in the United States. If I can go overseas, that would be the ultimate shit that I could do. But I mean, to you, that's kind of you didn't really have as many of these places to cross off, which I feel like kind of opens your mind a lot as a young person.
It does, and it's crazy because I remember like I would like my parents would want to take me to like some historic place or something like that, and I was like, no, I'm tired, I don't want to go, as a little kid. But then now I'm like so glad I went and like checked these places out. So I'm like now I want to just see everything when I travel. So I'm super glad I saw some places.